Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to the first ever episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur podcast. I'm your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, and I am so excited to be bringing to you my very own podcast. This has been in the making for a long time. So I want to start off the podcast series by diving into my own personal story and the day that Actually I Can, my business, was born. Now, that day I will never forget. So I'm going to take you back and tell you the story. So May 2020, it was in the middle of lockdown, and I'm sure all of you will be able to remember this time very well. So we're in the middle of lockdown. And at the time, I was an assistant head teacher at a school. So I was a key worker. I was going into school on certain days, on my scheduled days, and working from home on the other days. But I was also homeschooling my daughter. She was 3 at the time. I was going through an emotional divorce. I was losing the house that we had because we had to sell it and move out. I was suffering from a very bad eating disorder through all the emotion and all of the stress. My successful photography and videography business was on hold due to COVID. And I remember thinking to myself, can this get any harder? It was such a challenging time of my life. And to throw in the mix, obviously we had lockdown and COVID. And I remember thinking and actually saying to myself, it's okay. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to show my daughter how strong I am, and I'm going to follow my dream. Now, I knew back then that I wanted to help women find their voice. I wanted to help them build their dream business independently. And I'd spent years of my life people pleasing and hiding behind a mask instead of showing up as the true me. So that day, I remember looking at my daughter, Sophia, whilst I was going through one of the most challenging periods of my life. And I decided that now is the time to make a change and to follow my dream. And literally that day, I pulled out a notepad and pen, and I started putting together, so I started mind mapping basically ideas for a brand new business using my knowledge and skills from my current but on hold successful photography and videography business, and also what I wanted to create for women. Now, like I said, I had an absolute passion to support women, and I felt for many years, I people pleased, I'd hidden behind a mask myself, and I've always been such an independent person. But I feel that I'd never been able to really show people who I really was. And it was irritating me. When I was younger, I used to be, on stage. I was the first person on stage at the front of the stage. I was dancing, performing, acting. I had so much confidence as a young person. And I think when I hit my early 20s, I became this people pleaser in my career. I became this people pleaser at home. I became this people pleaser within my friendship groups. And I didn't really allow myself to express myself and to really say what was on my mind, or to really be the person that I really wanted to be. So I've started putting together these ideas in a notepad and pen, and, sort of brainstorming some ideas or thinking about some ideas of what I could create in terms of my business. And lots of different ideas were coming to me. I didn't think sort of coaching as such at the time, but I thought, building a community, maybe creating a course, building a membership, something along those lines would be a really, really good idea. And then I thought, well, I've been coaching in education for a number of years. I teach naturally. I've been teaching for 14 years, or I think it was actually about 11 years at that point, or 12 years at that point. And I thought I can use my experience and my skills of teaching and coaching and build a business to support women in that way. I remember having a conversation with one of my best friends at the time, and I said, I've got all of these ideas, but I just don't know if I can do this. And she said, of course you can, Kayleigh. And I said, yeah, actually, I can. And that was the moment, that was a telephone conversation. And that was the moment where the brand, the name of the brand actually came to light. And I thought, do you know what? I love it. Actually, I can. This is something that I can visualize thousands and thousands of people around the world saying to themselves every day to motivate themselves, to keep themselves going, and to keep them following their dream. So that's how the idea came about. And what I started doing is in lockdown, I obviously started to piece together some ideas for the business, but I also started writing a book because I thought one of the first things I want to be able to do is to actually publish a self-help book. So I created this self-help book. And if you haven't already read it, it's available on Amazon. It's called Actually I Can, A Mindset to Success. So go and get yourself a copy. But I created this book to give people a easy step-by-step guide, basically, in terms of how to program their mind in order to be successful through independence, through positive psychology, through growth mindset, through so many different kind of habits and strategies in order to help them. So that book did actually then get published in 2021. And so many people have, bought that and given me incredible feedback about it. But that was ultimately one of the first things I actually created as part of my business. As we came out of lockdown, because obviously during lockdown, the rest of lockdown, I was really busy coming up with my business ideas and writing the book. So as we came out of lockdown, I continued developing this. I decided to sign up as or to a coaching school to become certified, to make sure I had a certification and accreditation. So I signed up. I learned how to be a life coach to start with, to really, really understand the process and the ways of being able to coach people. And then I went down the business coaching route and learned an awful lot in terms of how to coach businesses and to coach women through building a business. And this is something that, again, that I was very, very passionate about, combining mindset coaching through the life coaching certifications, and then also combining it with business strategy. So I did a lot of learning for the next couple of years. I did a lot of learning, a lot of studying in order to make sure that my skills and my knowledge was up to date or up to speed. And then late 2021, Actually I Can was finally born. This was my new business to support women around the world with building their dream businesses that they love, to create the life and freedom that they desire. So when Actually I Can was first born, when it was first launched, I also delivered a TED Talk, a TEDx talk in the end of 2021, focusing on mindset to success to inspire women around the world. And as I launched my business, the first thing I really wanted to do was to offer free coaching. And when I say free coaching, I delivered it in a way where I created lots of masterclasses. So I delivered lots of free masterclasses to give value to my audience, to give value to the community that I had, which at the time was quite small because I hadn't focused on building a community at this point. And I wanted to give value. So I taught and coached through masterclasses, live workshops, etc., all online. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Now, the first product I actually launched in terms of selling was a one-to-one coaching program. I had a 12-week coaching program. And then soon after that, I also launched a 4-week coaching program. And my 4-week coaching program went through the roof. So many people were really, really interested in the 4-week. I combined the mindset along with the business strategy, and it sold out completely within 4 months of launching the business. So it was a really, really successful start to my business. And I loved it. I love being able to support people one-to-one. But I also loved being able to provide to the community that I had at the time for free masterclasses, workshops, and certain community groups that I built on social media platforms. And then as I grew, or as I moved, should I say, into 2022, I turned my business model from one-to-one into one-to-many. And it was the best decision I'd ever made. My business was thriving at this point with my one-to-one and my free masterclasses. And I designed a program which is called Unstoppable. Many of you probably already know it and are part of it. Unstoppable was my best-selling program of all time, and it's ultimately one of my favorite programs I've ever created. I launched it at the end of January 2022. And it was the best thing I've ever done, as I mentioned, in terms of growing and scaling from one-to-one to one-to-many. I was able to bring a number of fabulous ladies into it as part of the launch. I hit my first 10K, I think it was 11K month to be precise, in terms of sales, which is amazing, just 4 months into business. And since then, that program, along with my other programs that then got introduced after that, such as my masterminds, I had mini 8-week coaching programs, I then launched a membership, but everything that I've done since then has just added to my product suite, my business model, and allowed me to support more and more women around the world. And I must say today, I absolutely love my business. And I get to spend more time with Sophia, because when I was building my business, I was working full-time as assistant head teacher. And I knew that at the time, I had to put in all of the work. I had to work really, really hard, whilst also working full-time in a job and being a single mum. And it wasn't easy, but I had a goal. I set myself a goal that I wanted to reach 6 figures before I quit my teaching job or my assistant head teacher job. And that's exactly what I did. So I managed to hit my target. I handed in my notice at school, which was a very sad and emotional time for me because I'd been at that school for 14 years, which I absolutely loved. And then I was able to take my business full time. And like I said, I've since then created other programs, invited so many incredible other women into my world. And today I do have a business that I love. I get to spend more time with my daughter. One of my dreams was always to be able to walk her to school. A simple, simple dream to walk my daughter to school, because that's something that I'd never been able to experience before. I always used to drop her off at before school club and pick her up at after school club. I was normally the last mum there. And I just felt really guilty. And I wanted nothing more than to be able to get up, get ready with my daughter and walk her to school. And oh my goodness, since I've left my career and I've been able to take my business full time, that is one of the most rewarding things I have ever been able to do, as simply as it is. And I love my clients. I absolutely love my clients. I have over 130 clients currently in my main 3 programs. And I love helping every single one of them reaching their goals, reaching their dreams, and actually seeing them happy as well. Now, I look back on May 2020, that exact day, and I am really, really glad that I made the decision to follow my dream. I'm glad that it was challenging and it was hard, because if I wasn't in that situation, or if I didn't have, that time to actually process and think about what I truly wanted to do, I might not have ever made the decision to really go for it. And my life might be very, very different to what it is now. So my message to you for this episode is quite simply to follow that dream of yours and know that actually you can. Anything is possible. Now, I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of this podcast. Please do rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and I will see you again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur Podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream 6-figure or multi-6-figure business, then head to our website now for more information, or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.